Hello and welcome to the Real Life Alexa channel. I'm Alexa. This is Real Life. Today we're going to talk about sucralose, commonly known as Splenda. And I'm talking about this non-caloric sweetener because it's one that I happen to be allergic to, have developed an allergy to after however long it's been out. It was a few years ago it started at least noticing symptoms. I first noticed something was up when I would drink certain zero drinks to try and stay hydrated. And within a couple of hours of drinking them, I would just be throwing them right back up. It took several years after that and a lot of trial and error to really identify what the ingredient was that was affecting me. I stopped drinking those drinks altogether, but I started having similar reactions to other things I was eating and drinking, mainly eating. And it got to the point where I cut out sucralose, and I had lunch one day at home. I'd made food, and I thought I try to be very good about checking all the food I buy for whether it has sucralose in, and I've really cut out all other artificial sweeteners as well. Um, and I had started getting this very weird feeling in my mouth and on my lips, and the only thing I can explain is if you've ever used lip venom, which is a lip gloss that has bee venom in it that's meant to make your lips plump up. That weird tingly feeling I got from that was the same feeling I got from sucralose. So I hadn't had any sucralose in about 2 months, and this one day I was like, it feels like I've had sucralose. Okay, what did I actually eat today? Let me go check all of the packaging again just to make sure. And sure enough, a brand of tortillas that I have had in the past and never had sucralose in. They have changed their formula, and they now had sucralose in them. And for a few weeks, I was able to find the old version of their product that did not have it in. And now absolutely every one of their product, when I look, it has it in. So I know for a fact that they switched it and I was not having issues because they didn't have it in, right? Like, I know it didn't have it in is what I'm saying. I like Diet Mountain Dew. I've always liked lemon lime sodas. I have not had any in over 2 years, or some of their other products that have the caffeine in, kickstarts, whatever, because they all have sucralose in now. What I really want to talk about is how insidious this is now in our food supply and our drinks. And also because I visit England, I have family there, I know about some stuff that's happened over there. So for those who don't know, a few years ago, I'm not going to say the right time frames, not even going to try, the government instituted what is commonly known as the sugar tax. And this was essentially what this has come down to is that manufacturers of any type of drink, whether it is a soda, right? Any type of sports drink, any type of, in England, we'll buy bottles of a concentrated juice. It's concentrate, and you put a little bit in your cup and you fill it with water. I can't for the life of me just remember that is what we would call it. It'll come to me in about 5 minutes, and I'll be like, oh, that's what it was. Food as well has been changed around, but the drinks, and this is the part that is really, really disgusting to me. And what I have noticed, and what's really made me angry and frustrated and very just, what can we do about it, is that they do not label their drinks as having a diet sweetener in it, of having this artificial sweetener, that it's a diet drink. So you will go into the store and you will intentionally pick up the bottle, or on one visit, we were out at, I think we were at a Greg's bakery, which love Greg's, and I had picked up a Ribena. Always loved Ribena since I was a kid. I looked, it was not labeled diet. They had a diet version. I picked up the one that wasn't. And within, this was actually 2 years ago when this happened, and I knew within about 20 minutes of drinking that something I was eating or drinking had sucralose in. I knew it. My tongue was going, just weird feeling just instantly came on. And I'm looking, and sure enough, this not diet drink had sucralose in. And so that was, thankfully, that was at the beginning of my trip at the time. And I was able to say, why is this in here? Why wasn't it labeled? And sort of talk that out with my sister. And we went, and everywhere we went, whenever we were looking at the drinks, England does have a better requirements for stuff to be labeled and for that information to be available. So if we went to a sit-down restaurant, they still had to make it available to me whatever sodas they were offering on their fountain, right? Their soda fountain, that information has to be available. Now, the majority of stuff is all online, and they have a digital QR code. You scan it, you look up the menu, and it's all there. So whatever, it's still available. I went through all of these things, and you can find some that don't have it in. And I don't recall on that trip whether I had some of the sodas that don't have that one in, because they have other sweeteners in, right? Like, so aspartame has been around for, at least 50, probably more like 70 odd years. You have Ace K. It's also been around quite a while. Saccharin. So there's a lot out there. Then when you get into the foods where it's not liquid, they have different ones. And I wasn't thinking about talking about that today, so I haven't been, looking at what the ones are that are commonly out there. But that's England. Okay. You go to England, there's a sugar tax. Everyone is cutting the sugar out of their drinks. It's in this whole law that they put into place is to try and combat obesity. The problem with this is that you're essentially hiding what has been done from people, because not everyone is going to fully understand that the drinks they're drinking now are not the full sugar one, that they have all of these sweeteners in. And it's not just sucralose that's in these drinks, it's other ones too. A lot of them, at least almost all of the ones that I have looked at will have 2 different sweeteners in them. Aspartame and Ace K, a lot of sodas over here will have those 2. But a lot of them now are also moving to sucralose, so you'll see aspartame and sucralose, or sucralose and Ace K. It's over here. I was like, it's fine. Everything over here is still labeled as diet, right? No, it's not. I think it was last summer. I went into a local store, and I don't remember. I'd been outside doing something. I was like, I really want an iced tea, a lemon tea, right? And I go and I buy one that I've had in the past. I look at it very carefully. It does not say diet on it anywhere. And I'm like, great, this isn't a diet one. It won't have sucralose in. Did not think I need to look at the ingredients. You can tell where this is going. Within 15, 20 minutes of drinking even part of this drink, I could tell it had it in. And I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at the bottle again, and I'm looking at the label, and I'm like, it doesn't. It does not say diet on it. Why does this not say diet on it? It doesn't even say reduced calorie or light, right? So, for example, Arnold Palmer Half and Half Light, I know that's got artificial sweeteners in because it's light. So I will go and I will read the thing on the back about which ones they have in there. Spoiler alert, they have sucralose too. But at least it's labeled light, right? If it's labeled light, if it's labeled diet, you know. So this has been on my mind since, last year. This is really frustrating. This should not be there. This has not been put out there in the US media to any consumers that this is happening. Okay? This is not driven by any type of regulation in the US. This is, or I might be wrong, maybe there's something in California or somewhere that I just don't know about, but I'm normally pretty on top of these things, and especially if it's talking about something that I have investigated and looked at and Googled. You Google alerts pop the news stuff up. It tells you, like, related articles. What's really made me really, really, really mad is that it is not just food anymore. Okay? It is not just the stuff you buy at, like, your regular grocery store, fast food chains, whatever. It's not just that. When you go to your pharmacy, you are going to need to look at every single thing you buy from them. For example, Pepto-Bismol liquid, sucralose in every version I can find in my local thing. Mylanta, obviously, I have issues with my stomach because stuff has sucralose in, and I go and I will get Pepto and Mylanta. To take the medicine that's supposed to help me, when it has the thing in it that causes the issue, without being told that this was happening, I'm holding myself back from the words I really want to use right now. What is even more egregious to me, and this one I hope every parent out there can hear, if you buy Pedialyte, it is now filled with sucralose, possibly other things. I was in my local pharmacy. It's a chain brand, and I was waiting on a prescription to be ready because it hadn't been. I'd messed up. I'd only got like 2 out of 3 notifications or something, right? So I'm walking around the store. I'm like, you know what? Let me go and investigate, because when I went to, like, you can get Pedialyte drinks in, like, gas stations, right? You can actually get them there. So I had tried one day, and it was, the second I opened it and tasted the first drop, I was like, this is disgusting. This has fake sweeteners in. It doesn't say it's got them. It doesn't say diet on the front. It doesn't say light. It's one of those ones marketed at, you've been out all day, you're driving, like, you need to rehydrate. It's not one it's still Pedialyte, so maybe but it's more marketed like it's there with the other stuff. And I was like, if I can't have these other brand name ones, right? The AIDS, then maybe I can try Pedialyte, because I get dehydrated, and I know I get dehydrated, especially in the summer. So I was in the local pharmacy. I had some time to kill. I started going around, and I started checking other medicines because I had figured out that the Pepto-Bismol and the Mylanta both have it in. Some of the store brand stuff, you can still get it with other, it doesn't have sucralose in, though I'm, like, really questioning, why is there even a sweetener in these medicines to begin with? Now, these are the liquid ones, so in terms of if you buy the Pepto pills, those don't seem to have it in yet. But in my own experience, they do not work anywhere near as well as the liquid ones. The liquid ones worked much faster, coated your stomach, soothed it, all of that. So I went and I looked at all of the Pedialytes as well, all of the the name brand obviously is a Pedialyte, but also the store brand, or I don't know if it's the store brand or if it's just a generic-y one that they happen to stock, all has it in. There was nothing that I checked that I could buy that didn't have sucralose in. I'm going to leave a link to, let me make sure I tell you the right website. It is the National Institute of Health and the National Library of Medicine, National Center for Biotechnology Information on the National Institute of Health website. It is a very long article. It is full of scientific lingo, okay? It is not easy to get through, but the summary is this. Final comments and conclusions. Although sucralose is utilized globally as a sweetener in thousands of food and beverage products, further scientific research is warranted in several areas due to the following potentially significant findings. Sucralose alters metabolic parameters and its chronic effects on body weight are unknown. In short, if you go on here, you will find that sucralose has been found to interrupt the way our metabolism works, from starting in our gut with how it interacts and creates certain things. You might also have heard of GLP-1, right? And the class of drugs that they're technically diabetes drugs, but they've become popular for weight loss. They are also working with GLP-1s. Sucralose actually has a negative effect from what I was reading. And if I read it wrong and someone wants to say I read it wrong and explain it to me, please do. But everything I read on there says that this thing is interrupting and really screwing up our metabolisms and the way that our bodies work. It doesn't know if it can actually be, so the way that sucralose is made, oh goodness, now I've forgotten. I want to say hydrogen, but that's not the right. It's chloride, right? Chloride is what they put on it. Sorry, I have to scroll all the way up. This page is like so long. They call them organochlorine sweeteners. So organochlorine. So this is where they chlorinate some sort of organic compound. Sucralose is a byproduct of making normal sugar, like granulated sugar that we buy, right? It wasn't something special made from sugar, so it's all natural. That's bullshit. Sorry, pardon my language, but that is not true. It's not all natural when you take a natural compound and then you add, a very refined chemical to it. So they don't know if it can. They do know that it will break down at heats of 180 degrees Celsius. I can't do the math very quick, but I want to say that's somewhere around 350 to 400 Fahrenheit. So it breaks down. Once it breaks down into its original components, now you have some known bad chemicals in your body. Okay, this was presented to us. It was advertised. I can remember the commercials when Splenda first came out about how it was all natural, made from sugar, and it's a lie. They have 10 years ago, you could read articles and they were all funded by the people who make sucralose, similar to GMOs. And the thing is now is that there's a lot of research out there that cannot be hidden or stopped because the internet is such a valuable place. And also, with people having eaten this stuff for 10 plus years, the long-term effects are starting to be found. We are a walking, talking science experiment globally. They don't know the safety of these additives they put in our food. So the first one is it alters metabolic parameters, and its chronic effects on body weight are unknown. So this is similar to all of the artificial sweeteners. Is they claim that it'll help you can lose weight if you do sugar-free. False. There is no evidence that shows these actually help, and there are indications, though not proof yet, that it can actually long-term cause you to gain more weight than if you just ate regular sugar. Now, the sugar we have in our drinks, the corn syrup, that's just bad for us. So that's not what it really means. It has been reported to increase both glucose and insulin levels in obese women, and when given together with ACE-K, to enhance GLP-1 secretion in healthy individuals and persons with type 1 diabetes. When it's changing our body metabolic composition, I mean, this stuff is not good. This one is full of, so it's sucralose alters P-GP and CYP expression. So these are transporters, metabolizing enzymes in our gut, and when they are higher, they're meant to help either block or transport something, and when you have higher levels, it becomes too much of a good or bad thing. I don't know, whatever. I don't know if it's good or bad to begin with, but it's too much when it's increased. And it can interfere with the availability of therapeutic drugs that are used for things like heart failure, HIV infection, and organ rejection. So essentially, the way I'm reading this, and again, if I'm reading it wrong, I'd love to be corrected, but it sounds like what it does is it's taking, if you are on a certain type of drug to help fix something, or in the case of an organ transplant, to make sure it's not rejected, that drug is being metabolized too quickly, and it's being drawn out by this increase of those two, what did they call them? Metabolizing enzymes. And so the drug is not there to help you. So you're going to have failure, in especially like the transplants, organ failure and stuff. Number 3, the metabolic fate and health profile of sucralose metabolites are currently unknown. They are detected in our feces and urine, but the identity and health profile of them isn't known yet. So everything I was reading, the way I was reading this, everything on this point, and this is just the summary part, the pharmacokinetics, it's a very long word, and safety of sucralose and its metabolites need to be revisited to determine how sucralose is handled by the body. There are claims that sucralose is stable in vivo, which means in the body. It's not. It's being broken down, and those, again, when you break down the components are potentially very, very hazardous to us. Number 4, sucralose alters indigenous bacterial balance in the general intestinal tract. If you have heard of good gut biotics, bioflora, probiotics, right? Prebiotics, probiotics, things that help the good bacteria in our gut. Sucralose is the opposite. And now a lot of artificial sweeteners that are in use today are being found to harm the beneficial, or that might be by way of propping up the bad bacteria and the bad take over. Either way, you end up with the wrong bacteria in your gut doing things. So, and number 5, numerous toxicological issues regarding long-term exposure to sucralose are unresolved. Several issues that warrant additional investigation to determine their clinical relevancy include potential damage to DNA. If your cell DNA is damaged, you're looking at potentially things can get into cancer. Generation of chloropropanols during baking, and potential epigenetic alterations, particularly for the sucralose hydrolysis product 1,6-DCF, which is an alkylating agent. Possibility of bioaccumulation of sucralose and or its metabolites in the presence and absence of medications has not yet been studied. The health effects of co-administration of sucralose with the taste enhancer ADTP are not known. So artificial sweeteners, including sucralose, are regulated as food additives, but are not required to undergo screening for interactions with drug metabolizing enzymes prior to approval. So I think back to when I learned about thalidomide and how there was a single person at the FDA who refused to approve this new medication for use in the US with pregnant women. That, I want to say it was a woman, that lady said, we don't have any data, we can't approve it yet. Like, even though it doesn't affect anyone who's not pregnant, like, we don't know the effects, right? And the US did not suffer the effects of that being approved, whereas places like Europe did. It feels today, and especially reading some of these reports on things like sucralose, that additives are getting approved without really long-term comprehensive tests, research studies. I go back to my point that we, as a population across the world, we are guinea pigs, and they are not telling us everything. The fact that I can walk into a store, pick up a drink, thinking it's got just normal sugar in, or God forbid, corn syrup, right? Drink it, and within 10, 15 minutes know that it's got something in there that it shouldn't because it's not labeled as diet or light, that is bad. The fact that things like Pedialyte for our children, which are like, children are still growing, the damaging effects of these things on growing humans, like, it hasn't been studied properly. The fact that you go in and you pick up Pedialyte and you don't know that you need to look for the sweetener to see that it's got artificial sweeteners, it blows my mind that that is okay, and that the protections for consumers have been so dismantled over however many years, or maybe it was never there for sweeteners. I don't know. I'm based on other things that have been dismantled over the past 50 years since Reagan. It's part of a trend where consumer protection has been just decimated. So to me, that's probably more likely, but I will be very clear that I'm not 100% sure if the protection was ever there on artificial sweeteners to begin with. So this is a really long video, and I am obviously invested in sucralose because that's the one that affects me. However, knowing what I know about other diet sweeteners, I have tried to take almost all of them out of my diet. I do not like stevia, and with stevia and also monk fruit, I will do monk fruit rare occasions. Erythritol, oh, that's what it is. Erythritol, mannitol, I think, is one. Sorbitol. There's a couple. Those have been around even longer. If I remember correctly, than Equal. What's Equal? Equal is aspartame. Splenda is saccharin, right? Even monk fruit and stevia, however you say it, that is not the pure natural form. By the time it gets into our drinks and food, it also has taken something and added some sort of chemical process to it to put it into a form that works for baked goods, drinks, and all of that. So I've started getting away from all of it. I'm very concerned that there's going to come a day when you can't find any just normal food without this stuff in. I mean, I go into, let's say, go into the frozen aisle, right? And let's say you look at TV dinners. So far, I don't believe I found any with sucralose in, but I don't go and look at them very, like, I eat like maybe one or two from all of the various available things. I don't eat a huge amount of them, and I'm not going to just stand there and look through every single one in the aisle, right? You don't think of dinners, your main course being sweetened, but red sauce, tomatoes, that does need a tiny bit of sugar in it for the most part, for most people, to take a little bit of the acidity of the tomatoes out of the sauce and balance it. So that would be the first place I would start to look, is red sauces. But it's concerning. This is half an hour long already. I will leave the link to the website, the National Institute of Health. They will have a page for the other sweeteners as well. They probably have pages for other additives. That may be one that you're allergic to that I'm not. I think this is a massive issue, and I think that in the next 5 to 10 years, there's going to be the health effects that are going to show up because of the chronic overuse of these sweeteners in things like sodas and whatnot. I think it's going to hit England and other European countries first, because literally you go over there, if you're going to be charged more for a regular soda. So they're all diet and they don't label them diet. I think we're already seeing some of the issues with this, with when, 60% of the US adult population is like way overweight, not just a little bit, but basically into obese territory. We have been guinea pigs for years. We've been guinea pigs in the low fat era. We've been guinea pigs in the low sugar era, guinea pigs in the low carb era. I mean, we are just guinea pigs since TV dinners were invented. Mass production, how to keep food shelf stable for weeks at a time versus a few days. I hope I can help at least one person identify what's going wrong with them. Some of the issues that I have seen reported, basically it will be any type of stomach or intestinal distress. Don't feel good, right? Throwing up, the weird tingling is definitely one that lets me know something has sucralose in it. That might just be, I'm kind of special and have that. Like, I don't know that that's going to be a common one for everyone, but the intestinal distress seems to be something that has popped up a lot when I was looking for what could possibly be causing some of my symptoms. That was what people were saying about sucralose. Other people, a lot of self-reported. At the end of the day, I do think that we're all trying our best. Almost all. I don't know. I think most of us, if not all of us, want to be healthy, and we want to feel good, and we want to feel like, something, just that our body is working right. And to be fighting this insidious, hidden obstacle doesn't feel right to me. So if I have been able to bring this to anyone's awareness, and you are able to cut it out of your diet and find some relief, I hope that that does help. It's definitely not easy when we are faced with what we are faced with at the supermarkets and the ease of certain things, and the lack of transparency. Um, so now we're at 35 minutes. Did not mean to make this one a really long one. Um, thank you if you made it this far. And let me know if you've had issues. You can self-report at to the FDA. I will leave that link as well. Um, if enough of our symptoms are reported, that's when they'll take action to stop this harmful additives being added to everything. Everything that you think of could have it in at some point. Um, and if it doesn't affect you, then I'm glad, because it's not fun. And at the end of the day, we all face different challenges. So, as always, thank you very much for being here, and be kind to yourself.